Well, now we're on we're on event 42 in AD 29, and Jesus has moved from the Sea of Galilee over to Tyre and Sidon, and now he has moved back towards the Sea of Galilee and down towards the southeastern side of the Sea of Galilee, and where the Jordan River comes out to a place, a region called Decapolis. And there he has drawn multitudes of people, as he often did, particularly during this time of his doing miracles and healings. And so we find that there are two accounts of this particular event, event 42. One is in Matthew 15, only 3 verses, and the other is in Mark chapter 7, verses 31 through 37, 8 verses. The reason that Mark takes additional verses is he zeroes in on one particular healing, while Matthew just talks about general healing, that multitudes were bringing all kinds of lame, blind, and people to be healed, while we see Mark focusing in on this one particular person that is brought to Jesus. So Jesus is there, and he is being begged by some people that brought a person who was not able to hear, was deaf, and had a speech impediment. Now, I think it's always good to understand that the Bible brings its own credibility. Instead of saying deaf and dumb, which they could have said, this person was not completely dumb. This person could speak, but spoke with an impediment because of the deafness. And if any of you have been around someone that is deaf, they do have difficulty speaking because they can't hear themselves and they can't hear how other people sound. And so they have somewhat difficulty speaking. Nevertheless, it seems that Jesus is almost testing this man that's been brought to him. First of all, he takes him away from the multitude of people, gets him alone. And then he takes and sticks his fingers in this man's ears, and he spits. And he takes the spittle and he touches the man's tongue. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want somebody to spit on their fingers and then stick it on my tongue. But nevertheless, this man has been brought to him for healing. He has a speech impediment and he's deaf. And Jesus speaks, and of course in the original language it's not be opened, but that's what it's translated, be opened. And his ears are opened immediately. His tongue's impediment is removed and he's speaking clearly. And Jesus orders those that brought him in, this man, to not tell anyone. And as has often been the case when Jesus performed miracles like this, the people, whether being pressed of how this change came about or whether just because they couldn't stop marveling at the wonder of being healed like this, continued to spread what Jesus had done. And so people all through the region were saying that this man Jesus has done astonishing things, right down to making the deaf to hear and the dumb to speak. And if we look at the Matthew account, we find that this particular event was astounding to all of the multitudes, because they not only saw the results of this one man that Mark seems to zero in on, but also the healing of hundreds of others that were brought to Jesus of all kinds of problems, blindness, dumbness, and the healing all of them completely. They glorified God of Israel. So Jesus has accomplished two things. One, he has built a large fan base, if you will, of people who would like to be healed and touched and made better. But he's also drawn through his teaching, drawn attention to the fact that there is a God of Israel who is capable of healing, but he's also capable of forgiving sins, and that his shift from his early ministry until his late ministry will move from this temporal healing to eternal spiritual healing, forgiveness of sins, and eternal life through Christ and his death on the cross. So you may want to look at these two accounts, Matthew 15, beginning at verse 29, Mark chapter 7, beginning at verse 31, the healing of the deaf man who had a significant speech impediment, and the fact that Jesus is shifting his focus slowly from healing to teaching, and has drawn the multitudes now so that he can proclaim the word. It's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.